Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Your headlines in the Thames Valley this Friday evening. The killer from Hampshire who attacked a stranger at random. The victim's family says his sentence for manslaughter isn't enough.
A remarkably kind, decent, generous, loving human. Seeing your loved one being battered on the street for no reason is just horrific.
A rise in lollipop men and women abused by impatient drivers. The campaign in Buckinghamshire urging motorists to respect those who keep children safe.
Also tonight, a final chance to get together ahead of the Special Olympics. We have exclusive access to Team GB athletes as they prepare for Berlin.
And ready to be part of history, Royal Navy personnel in Hampshire rehearsing for their role in the King's coronation. Good evening. The family of a man who died after he was punched repeatedly on a night out wants tougher sentencing for similar crimes.
Paul Mason was hit to the ground at random by Steve Allen from Hook in Hampshire. He was sentenced to 3 years and 9 months in prison.
But Paul's family say the sentence doesn't fit the crime. They've been speaking to Sam Holder.
It was an attack completely out of the blue. 52-year-old Paul Mason on his phone is approached by a stranger. The footage that follows is too violent and upsetting to show in full. He's punched repeatedly until he's knocked to the floor. An attack that caused fatal brain injuries. Paul's family have struggled to make sense of his senseless killing.
Paul was a remarkably kind, decent, generous, loving human. Seeing your loved one being battered on the street for no reason is just horrific.
The man responsible for his death was drunk during the attack outside the Ivy. He believed Paul had stolen his friend's phone. Stephen Allen was sentenced to 3 years 9 months for manslaughter, but he's likely to spend far less behind bars after deductions. Rachel has started a petition demanding changes to manslaughter sentencing in response.
How can somebody who has committed such a violent attack on an innocent person, how can they be in prison for just over a year? It just doesn't make sense. It's an insult to us, it's an insult to society, it's just not justice.
So not only do you want the sentence increased in Paul's case, you actually want the government to overhaul the sentencing guidelines for manslaughter in general.
I think it's vital. I think for us to have some kind of closure and for society to have faith in the justice system.
5,000 have already signed the petition. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's office say they have received an official request to review the sentence in a case that questions how many years a life is worth. Sam Holder, ITV News.
In other news, there have been more calls for Ofsted to reform inspections, with some schools removing Ofsted banners and logos from their websites. It follows the death of Ruth Perry, the former head of Caversham Primary School, who took her own life after her school was downgraded. The leader of the National Association of Head Teachers has called for change at the union's annual conference. Simon Kidwell says the current inspection framework is doing more harm than good.
The reality for many is that the current approach to inspection compounds inequality between schools. The current model is a workload creation vehicle for subject leaders, and it causes unacceptable collateral damage to school leaders' physical and mental health.
Well, Ofsted says they want inspections to be constructive and collaborative, and in many cases, school leaders agree that they are.
Firefighters worked through the night after a fire at a school near Newbury. Crews were called when smoke was discovered in the roof of a 3-storey building at Horace Hill Prep School. People living nearby were asked to keep doors and windows closed.
A 15% reduction in carbon emissions has been achieved by Oxford City Council compared to pre-pandemic levels. It dropped from 7 tonnes to 6, which is equivalent to almost 3 million miles driven by the average car.
Lollipop men and women who face all weathers to get children to school safely say they're experiencing more road rage than ever before.
They face aggressive language, revving engines and even attempts to drive round them on the wrong side of the road from a minority of motorists.
Well, now a new campaign in Buckinghamshire is calling for lollipop men and women to be shown more respect. With more, here's Mel Blaw.
See you later.
On a grey and damp morning in Aylesbury, lollipop men John and Brian attempt to brighten up the day for children on their way to school. More importantly, they're there to ensure they arrive for their lessons safely. Here on the busy Elmhurst Road near St Louis Catholic Primary School, 2 patrollers have been assigned for added safety. Buckinghamshire Council say their lollipop men and women are being subjected to abuse from impatient drivers who are also putting lives at risk by swerving round them to get past.
There's been aggressive and abusive language. There has been revving the engines, driving fast and towards the patrollers while they're out with the lollipop on the crossing. And we have had to put 2 patrollers on this particular side, which is quite unusual, because some drivers just seek to drive through by going on the opposite carriageway, which is clearly a huge safety risk to not only the patrollers, but the public who are trying to cross the road.
The highway code states that drivers must stop when they're asked. Failure to do so could lead to a £1,000 fine and 3 penalty points.
The council says the patrollers' jobs are also being made more difficult by drivers blocking pavements and stopping in inconsiderate locations to drop their children off to school. A new campaign hopes to reduce the number of incidents before someone's seriously hurt.
Before I started, there was a lady who was on this and a vehicle ran into the bollards here and knocked the bollards down. And fortunately she wasn't injured, but there's a lot of traffic and it's absolutely crucial to keep the children safe.
It's really important that they are here because they are really a big help for us, because otherwise some of the vehicles doesn't really stop.
It's such a busy road, the children couldn't cross over safely without them, and they are wonderful.
The message to motorists is simple: respect lollipop men and women by slowing down and allowing them to do their job safely. Mel Blaw, ITV News, Aylesbury.
Well, you're watching ITV News Meridian. Coming up in the programme.
Getting ready to be a part of history, Royal Navy personnel rehearsing for their role in the King's coronation.
And with the bank holiday weekend looming, dare I say the weather is looking fairly promising. I'll be back later with all the details.
Thank goodness for that. And you can find more on today's top stories on our website, itv.com/Meridian. You can give us a call, the number 0808 1010 095. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram. We always love to hear from you.
Now, the ITV evening news continues with the national and international news at 6:30. With the details tonight is Charlene White.
Coming up, the chair of the BBC resigns after a Boris Johnson loan row. Richard Sharp broke the rules on public appointments. We'll hear the calls to change the way his successor is picked. New guidance for those who suffer suspected concussion, why grassroots athletes will be told to sit it out for 3 weeks. Plus, leaving no stone unturned, the complex operation to keep up an ancient coronation tradition. Join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Now, if you're planning on doing some DIY this bank holiday, I can guarantee you it will be nothing on the scale of a project in Southampton to create the UK's largest clean air mural.
You say that, you don't know what I've got planned. And
I can.
I've got
guarantee
plans.
It's not this big.
That is true. The renowned French street artist Neuron is using his sublime style. I don't have sublime style with my DIY. He's going to transform an eyesore into an environmentally friendly masterpiece. James Dunham explains how.
The vibrant feast of colour brought to 7 floors of grey, ghastly-looking tower block is beautifully bold with ambitious green strokes. Each particle of paint capable of tackling harmful air pollution as art and science combine in this groundbreaking creation by French street artist Meridian.
We need to think about the future, the planet, and doing a piece of art which is good for nature and environment, that clean the air. This is fantastic. It's like magic.
The paint coated on the building known as the bulb contains lime, a carbon dioxide combating material, meaning this clean air mural will be the largest of its kind in the UK. Once the mural is complete, it's estimated the pollution-eating paint could absorb 65 kilograms of CO2 each year, the equivalent of 3 mature adult trees. It's hoped the striking design outside will attract businesses in. The complex's owners determined to create a buzz about this space, with offices empty following the pandemic.
It's a challenge, but it's one that we're trying to face head on, because ultimately, if you don't diversify, if you don't make the workplace something that's exciting, a place that people want to come and work, there's going to be a hell of a lot of empty buildings throughout the UK.
Meanwhile, the art studios involved with the piece believe it could put Southampton on the street art map.
Hopefully this maybe inspires the next generation of artists in the city. It might bring more mural opportunities and art opportunities to the city as well. So, I'm from Bristol, a city well known for kind of street art. So it's nice to kind of see this brought to other cities in the UK.
So watch out Bristol is what you're saying?
Pretty much. I think we can confidently say that Southampton's coming in and wanting to be the next city known for street art. People in Bristol won't be happy about that, but let's try and make that happen.
You've started something now.
Yeah, maybe a War of the South, hey, who knows?
With this design attracting over 10,000 votes in an online poll, the mural will be a welcomed artistic and environmental improvement. James Dunham, ITV News, Southampton.
See, how does that compare to your shelving?
Well, if I can get them level, I'll be very impressed. I might do a before and after picture like that maybe on Monday. Yeah. Let's talk about sports. Andrew joins us in the studio. What can you say? It's, a tough night for Southampton, a brilliant night for Bournemouth.
Absolutely tough. It's been a tough season for Southampton fans, to be honest. But the Cherries are chipper this evening after their win at St Mary's. The result is massive. Southampton are now 6 points from safety, while Bournemouth are 7 points above the dotted line, with just 5 games to go.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And the band played on.
I don't actually see them as rivals because it's the quickest trip. It's much better to come here than Everton or Newcastle. So, I wish everybody the best of luck, but if somebody's going to go down, I'd rather it wasn't Bournemouth.
But ideally both to stay up.
Yes, why not? Yeah, it's a nice easy trip.
As a Saints fan ahead of tonight's game, what are your thoughts about how this is going to go?
Well, I hope they win tonight, because if they don't win tonight, I think that's us done. Championship, football next season. Shame after all these years.
What would it mean to you to beat Southampton tonight?
I think it goes probably 2/3 away to our survival in the Premiership. We're a little club, tucked out the way, down in sunny Bournemouth, and we need it.
On Sunday, Bournemouth host Leeds and Southampton go to Newcastle, but our other sides all play tomorrow. Brighton looking to bounce back against Wolves, while for Reading it feels like a must-win match against bottom place Wigan. The Royals 1 point from safety with just 2 games to go. Come on the Royals. Now, we've been given exclusive access to Team GB as they prepare final preparations ahead of the Special Olympics. The event in Berlin is the pinnacle for these athletes. There are 12 competitors from the Meridian region, and Catherine Walker went along to their team building event.
With the official group picture taken, the countdown to the Special Olympics 2023 is on.
Oh, really excited for Berlin. It's my third World Games, so it's going to be an absolutely fantastic experience for myself and also for the athletes.
They're incredible. They've been working really hard. They've kept really active through the last few years to kind of get them to a place where they are ready for the World Games.
Among this year's team is Dom from Surrey. He's a cyclist and can't wait to represent his country.
Well, I'm feeling excited and happy about it, you know, because I've been, but I haven't been to Berlin before, so we've decided to just have fun, you know, and just do what we can.
This year, 82 athletes have been selected to represent Special Olympics Team GB. This training weekend is their final chance to get together before the big games themselves.
We're feeling incredibly excited ahead of Berlin. We've got a lot of work to do with the team to make sure they're ready, and they're very excited. But it's an amazing event. You know, everybody's seen people competing at the Olympics and the Paralympics, and for these guys and for us, this is just the same.
To take part in the Special Olympics, athletes must have an intellectual disability, and that means there's extra preparations, including classes on travelling abroad and staying safe.
For a lot of the athletes, it might be the first time they've actually been away from home, from that home environment. So these weekends are important because we can actually just gradually get them used to being away from that family network and in a completely different environment for potentially 2 weeks away from the family.
And what a 2 weeks it will be. The 2023 Games will start in just over 6 weeks, and there's no doubt Team GB will have the time of their lives. Catherine Walker, ITV News.
The Special Olympics started in 1968 at Berlin 2023, shaping up nicely.
Yes, absolutely.
That's brilliant.
Andrew, thank you. Right, now, with just over a week until the coronation, preparations are underway to mark the event in a variety of different ways. One will create a lasting impact in the south with the creation of new meadows.
Yes, English Heritage is starting a 10-year project to restore some areas of open land. It will be a project that benefits both plants and wildlife, as James Webster explains.
Formal gardens like these are what many of our heritage sites are famous for, but it's a very different style of gardening that's being used to mark the coronation of a new king who is famous for his love of nature. English Heritage is restoring 100 meadows filled with the sort of plants that naturally grow there, and gardeners like Dan know the benefits it'll bring.
Meadows are really important for biodiversity. One area of meadow can be home to 100 species of wildflower, which can then lead on to 100 species of insects, and then that'll increase mammal life, so it has a real knock-on effect.
Here in our region, Carisbrooke Castle, Osborne and Stonehenge are among the places that'll get King's Meadows. English Heritage is working with the conservation charity Plant Life on ways to make the wildflowers flourish.
It really fits in with the historic nature of the sites, and that's, you know, what English Heritage is all about. But for Plant Life, we can help to show what this landscape might have looked like more than 100 years ago, before we lost so much of that grassland landscape, and and just give us a taste of what could be done and the wildlife that we could be enjoying if we did this on a bigger scale, really across the country.
So that's it on its lowest revs.
Wildflowers are spread by using special mowers like these, which shake the seeds over a wider area. And other areas will have species reintroduced by hand.
So we're going to be planting yellow rattle, so we'll find an area where there's nothing there. We'll take out a little piece of turf like this.
So we take that bit out and then that goes in there?
Yeah, and just give it a little firming. So this will feed on the nutrients around the grass, allowing more space for the wildflowers to take and grow in the area.
You know, this almost seems counterintuitive, because if you think of your lawn at home, the last thing you want is random bits growing in the middle of the grass, yet that's exactly what we're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, Yellow rattle is key to establishing wildflower. If we didn't have yellow rattle in a lawn area like this, it would just be kind of grass at about 2 or 3 foot, and the wildflowers would really struggle to establish.
It's hoped a decade of work will fulfil this Coronation pledge to create an inspiring legacy of restored meadows that will flourish for many more years. James Webster, ITV News.
And staying with the King's coronation, because hundreds of Royal Navy personnel are currently being put through their paces, along with the band of the Royal Marines.
Yes, they're preparing for their part in what will be an historic event. With the details is Richard Slee.
Being put through their paces one more time. These are just some of the nearly 1,000 sailors and Royal Marines who will be taking part in the coronation of King Charles III. The King has strong ties to the Royal Navy. He followed his father, grandfather and both great-grandfathers into the service. He served on the destroyer HMS Norfolk, qualified as a helicopter pilot and took command of the mine hunter HMS Bronington. So he will take a special interest in how the senior service performs on the day, which will have a different mood compared to the Queen's funeral last year.
The good thing is we have the ceremonial drill. We now understand, and we've learnt lots of lessons from that, from concentrating 932 Royal Naval people in one area and to streetlining. So we've learnt lots of lessons, but the mood is very different. It's about a pride in our nation, a pride in our service, and the people you can see behind you are representatives of the whole of the Royal Navy family, wherever they are deployed around the world on operations.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stories that come with it, and definitely going to pass it down to my kids and my grandkids.
The youngest sailor to take part will be 17-year-old Damari Dennis.
I've always loved ceremonial stuff. It's one of the reasons why I joined the Navy in the first place. I've always looked up to King's Guards and things like that. So as soon as I heard that I can get put on the coronation, I put my name down straight away.
Next weekend will also be a very special moment for longer-serving sailors and their families.
Not only is it going to be the coronation that I'm absolutely honoured to be part of, but it's also going to be my naval birthday. So 27 years ago I went through the gates of HMS Raleigh on exactly the same day, the 6th of May. But not only me being a part of it, but representing my historic family military background with representing them as well on the coronation.
These Royal Marines and sailors started their rehearsals last week, and they will continue right up to the ceremony, including one night next week where they will be pacing the route of the coronation procession. Richard Slee, ITV News, Portsmouth.
Wow, they're impressive, aren't they?
Very impressive.
It's all building now, the excitement. Weather time now. Pip's here. Pip, some good news, please, for the bank holiday?
Yeah, do you know what? I do bring some good news. We are going to have some decent sunny spells at times through the weekend, but it will come with a few showers, some of them potentially heavy and thundery. And I think in terms of where they'll start off in the west probably tomorrow, becoming a little more widespread on Sunday, hopefully heading off eastwards on Monday. But the temperatures will be fairly consistent through the weekend. They're going to be much warmer than they have been. So let's take a look at where the UK has been so far. In fact, it's only Scotland at the moment that's got above 20 Celsius so far this year. But I think this weekend, I think just about any day we could see 20 Celsius locally. It's about time too, because this is the latest we've seen 20 Celsius occurring in England since 1986.
Really? It's felt freezing though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been on the chilly side, yeah.
So while we're sort of celebrating some welcome warm weather, that isn't the case everywhere though, is it?
Yeah, that's right. If we cast our eyes southwards, take a look at this, taking our way down towards the Iberian Peninsula and into North Africa, they're dealing with a really nasty heat wave at the moment, record-breaking in fact. Yesterday, Cordoba Airport got to 38.8 Celsius. That's a new mainland record for Spain for April. Marrakesh even hotter, 41.3 Celsius. Again, another record broken. That's 106 Fahrenheit. Now, to put that into context, that's about 15 degrees above where we'd like things to be at this time of year. And of course, we're only in April. We've still got the whole summer lying ahead. So a little bit alarming.
Yes, absolutely.
It's worrying.
Right, let's get a check on the full forecast for the bank holiday weekend ahead. Here's Pip, of course.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
So with the bank holiday weekend almost upon us, things are looking relatively promising. Some lovely sunny spells to come, noticeably warmer compared to recent days and weeks, but we will have some showers in the mix, and where we catch a shower, it could be heavy and perhaps thundery. But out there at the moment, all looking pretty quiet, dry, some lengthy clear spells overnight. With light winds, we could see some patchy mist and fog developing, more especially inland, but it should be a frost-free night all round. Temperatures, even in rural spots, probably not much below 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow morning, initially perhaps a bit of a grey and in places murky start, but it won't be long before that April sunshine gets to work, and we should see some lovely sunshine coming through quite widely. In that sunshine, feeling pretty warm, highs of 17 or 18 Celsius, perhaps a touch higher locally. And then just worth noting, as the day gets going, we could see some showers developing, mainly up towards the north and west of our patch, but if you do catch one, it could well be on the heavier side. These are the times of high water for tomorrow. Then for Poole there, 8:15 in the morning and 8:51 in the evening. So a few showers to round off the day tomorrow, but for most of us dry. And then overnight into Sunday, we'll see a weather front starting to sneak into western parts. As that works its way eastward through Sunday and Bank Holiday Monday, it will provide a focus for some showers, but warm in the sunshine.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
In just a moment, the ITV Evening News with Charlene White.
We've got bulletins across the bank holiday weekend, of course. We'll be back at the usual time of 6 o'clock on Tuesday with all our DIY done to a very high standard.
I will actually be waiting for those pictures with bated breath.
Trust
but
me.
From the whole team here at Meridian, thank you for watching. Good night.
Bye-bye.